The Japan arc is over. Yo, what is going on, guys? So I am finally back from my trip to Japan, and I'll probably talk more in depth about it later, I guess, in the video today. But right now, I wanted to kind of quickly just give you guys a quick video because I know I didn't upload like a Brawl Stars video last night. I was busy enough playing and figured I'd maybe try to make it up to you by uploading 2 videos in one day, both being Brawl Stars. And I know, crazy to break the 1 video a day streak by uploading 2 in a day, but you might expect to see that happen again later when I upload some footage of me eating some snacks later that I got from Japan and also Germany when I visited there for Brawl Cup. But yeah, for today's video, I kind of wanted to go over something that some people have been asking me for, like, kind of my thoughts or opinions on, which I never really intended on covering because I'm gonna be honest, I thought it would be kind of just like boring to hear me give kind of just a, you know, like a summary or just like a regurgitation of whatever was said in this interview that SpenLC did. Yeah, actually about 10 days ago. Actually, I think that's around when I actually flew to Japan. In talking to and interviewing, asking questions to Adrian, who's the guy who's in charge of Brawl Stars balancing and game mechanics, and he in large part decides/signs off on everything that makes it into the game. Now, Adrian is one of the more hated members of the Brawl Stars dev team, especially in the online Brawl Stars community. He catches a lot of flack for basically every poorly balanced brawler, basically every poorly made design decision. Basically, if a brawler's broken, Adrian takes the fall. If a brawler is too weak, Adrian gets blamed for being useless. You know, what does he even do, etc, etc. Bro nerfs Grom and buffs Damien, you know, whatever memes you might have seen out there. And in this interview done by SpenLC, he asks a lot of questions basically that he requested from the community to ask Adrian about, you know, why was Grom nerfed? Why are the updates so damn buggy? Why are the brawlers base kit getting nerfed instead of just the buffies when new buffies come out, you know, making the game more pay to win? Do you even play the game? You know, stuff like that. And when this podcast dropped, I was kind of looking online and it doesn't seem like it made too big of a splash in like online player-based activity. I just didn't really see too many people, you know, really talking about it, or if they did talk about it, they kind of just were still mad at him and didn't feel like the answer that Adrian gave was satisfactory to them. At its core, this Adrian interview comes down to a lot of stuff that I've already talked extensively about on my main channel videos. I think my auto aim video is probably the main one that I'm thinking about, but also I think talking about the buffies videos that I've made, mostly the second one, kind of like talking about Brawl Stars' response to the buffies changes and everything. This is going to be a little bit of a recap, but I promise this will make sense as we get into the kind of the questions, the really juicy ones that I think SpenLC asks Adrian, that I think a lot of people are like misunderstanding or just not correct about. So just to lay the foundation, okay, fundamentally Brawl Stars is a game that is made for 2 big groups of players. We've got competitive players, we've got casual players, okay? And I'm gonna be broadly describing casuals as, like, let's say less than 20,000 trophies, you know, mythic or lower in ranked, which is, you know, maybe they're like a showdown main, maybe they just like log in, play a little bit and log off, play only with their friends, whatever the case is. These people make up the majority of the player base, to be honest. And we also have the more competitive players. These are more hardcore. There's less of them by a vast margin, right? They are by far a small minority of players, but these are the players that make up mythic, like legendary and above, and also are just because they are just more competitive and more hardcore and more passionate about Brawl Stars, they spend a lot more time online in these online Brawl Stars communities. And one, I guess, quick way that you can kind of check your own personal bias is if you spend a lot of time watching Brawl Stars YouTube or spend a lot of time in like Brawl Stars Discord servers or on Reddit, if I asked you to describe to me what you think like the average online Brawl Stars player, like the average player that you find in an online community in Brawl Stars, like in a Discord, in a random Discord, or in like the random subreddit, right? What do you think the average rank of that player is? Or like an average viewer of one of my videos, right? Take the average rank of these people. What do you think like that rank would be? And for me, the answer would be probably somewhere around like Legendary 1 is where I would guess is like the average player is. And you'll have like a good chunk of people who are less than that, but a good chunk of people who are higher than that. And that's, I would guess, like, you know, median, average, whatever player you find online is like probably Legendary 1. And to be honest, Legendary 1 is not considered a very impressive rank at all, especially online. Like if you're a Legendary 1, that's like whatever, you know? Like everybody's Legendary 1, it feels like. But if you actually look at the numbers, okay, so this is from the end of 2025, so it's not like totally, you know, up to date, but it is still pretty accurate to what it is right now. It's from the Brawl Stars API. The Legendary 1, if you are Legendary 1 in ranked, you are in the top 98.64 percentile. So you are in the top 98 percentile, okay, above 90 percentile. This is, 6 months old data, but largely the trend holds true. Legendary 1 is considered top of the cream of the crop, okay? Legendary 2 puts you in the top 99th percentile. I guess, sorry, maybe I'm saying this the other way around, but like if you're Masters 1, okay, you are make up less than 0.1% of the player base. Literally 0.03%. This is one thing that I want you to keep in mind. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is that online players, like people who make up Reddit and Twitter and Discord, make up less than 5% of the total player base of Brawl Stars as a whole. Frank, basically the head of Brawl Stars, made a tweet about this a while ago. And these are optimistic numbers. 3 to 5% is, if you're looking optimistically, that's how much they represent of the total Brawl Stars player base. Keep in mind, okay, if you look online and the general discourse that happens online, it is capturing the tiniest fraction of the actual broader Brawl Stars player base, and the average player is nowhere near as good as you think they are. They are just not. So that's one thing that you should probably keep in mind before we talk more about the interview. The other thing that I want you to know, okay, and this is the last thing that I'll talk about before we get into the questions. I'm not sure if there's a proper psychological term that directly applies to this situation, but in general, people will attribute others' actions that they perceive to be negative as like done with malicious intent. So if like a really common example might be like road rage, for example, like let's say you're driving down the road and someone like cuts you off on a turn when you had right of way or some bullshit, like you attribute that driver to be an evil like you attribute that driver to basically be the spawn of Satan. Like they personally were born just to piss you off on this afternoon, and you now want to take out a weapon and shoot them dead, right? Like there's just that inherent like anger that you feel that this person is evil, that they intentionally targeted you to piss you off, when really it could be that the person in that car, maybe they're like late to like a really important thing that they have to do, or maybe they misread a signal and thought that you were giving them the right of way or something, like whatever the case is. People just tend to attribute like malice intentions from people when that's really not probably what's the case. Or I guess for another example, maybe there is a particular developer in a game development team that is responsible for balance changes, and then they nerf a brawler that's already bad. It's like, why would they do this? They must have evil intentions. They must have lost the game and must be spite driven, or maybe they just like particularly have it out for this brawler in particular. Like they have a personal grudge against this brawler because they just don't like it. This particular game developer is gonna nerf it just to say fuck you. And there's no other possible explanation for why they could have nerfed the brawler. And so those are kind of like the two things that I want you to think about, I guess, going into this video. And it's going to be especially relevant, I guess, right now, because the first question that SpenLC asks Adrian, which these are community-based questions. So SpenLC made like a post, I think, on his YouTube channel asking, what questions would you want to ask Adrian? This is like, he compiled a list and he's asking Adrian. So first question, why did he nerf Grom?
I think Adrian's expecting this one. He needs to address the elephant in the room, guys, because rumor has it he lost a game in ranked to Grom.
I would never.
So that's why he nerfed Grom. So basically, the first one is definitely the biggest question. Explain like the changes around Grom, like that kind of thing.
This is the big thing that everyone, I think, when Grom got nerfed, I, as well as I think a lot of people in the community, were like, this is so ridiculous to be nerfing a DF tier brawler even more when he's already not even good. There is no possible reason why he could have done this, so he must have just lost the game to Grom, and that's why he's nerfing Grom. There's right, it must be a malicious, spiteful act. There's no other possible explanation for this. Or if it's not a malicious one, then it's just a stupid one. So Adrian is just dumb. Maybe that's why Adrian nerfed Grom, right? He's just incompetent and stupid, right? Makes a lot of sense, right? And so in response to this question, Adrian basically says that Grom is literally, he's one of the highest win rate brawlers below Legendary 1.
He's dominant. He was one of the highest win rate brawlers below Legendary 1 as a whole, which might surprise a lot of you because you're obviously all Masters, right?
Above Masters, everybody dodges Grom shots. He has a very low win rate. That's basically what Adrian says. And so when he's looking at a brawler that is really frustrating to play at a high level because he just doesn't do anything, but then he's also really frustrating to play against at a low level, this is not like a well-designed brawler. And any buff that you give to this brawler will probably still not make him good at a high level, because the core problem is that he has a fundamental flaw with his basic attack that just makes it too easy to dodge. But at a low level, any buff will just make him even more frustrating to deal with. And so the reason why Grom got nerfed is basically to nerf him in the area where he is too frustrating to play against, and then later down the line when he has more time and resources to devote to like an actual proper rework to Grom, he'll do it then, maybe when Grom gets buffies. That's basically Adrian's answer here. It is really boring, and it's just kind of like, especially if you are someone who is very hardcore and like, let's say you're a Masters player or above, you're gonna hear this and you're gonna think this is such a stupid answer. It's like so unsatisfying, right? It's like you're basically being told, yeah, the change isn't good for you, but this change isn't for you, right? And that's basically what he's saying. Is like, this is a change for casual players. You are not one of them. This change is not aimed for you. It's not catered to you at all. And that feels bad. But at the same time, it's also like not a bad answer. I don't think he's wrong for this approach in appealing to the vast majority, like 80-90% of the player base, in making the like when you make a game, I don't think it's smart to only appeal to like the tiniest little fraction of a percent of players, because then the game's not fun for most of your players. Like that just doesn't make any sense. You'd obviously want to cater the game to like the vast majority of your player base. Like that just makes sense. But for the people who fall outside of that specific range, like, yeah, it doesn't feel good to get like a change that doesn't cater to you. But at the same time, for Grom specifically, you know what, I honestly don't care, because like when I think about this balance change, like, yeah, it seems like silly to me. But also, Grom went from a brawler that I don't play to a brawler that I still don't play. It doesn't change anything to me if Grom he could get nerfed to make his damage deal 1 damage per hit. And it genuinely would not change a single thing about my experience of playing Brawl Stars. So I don't care about this, to be honest. And I'm pretty sure that most of the people who are complaining about the change also don't care that much. But it's really just one of those things where it's like, it's funny to make fun of Adrian. So that's why it became such a big sticking point for a lot of people, because like, I think people forget they have a very specific perspective of the game that doesn't represent the actual average point of view. Like the fact that you are online or watching a Brawl Stars YouTube video already makes you a rather exceptional Brawl Stars player. But because you're surrounded by only exceptional people, you kind of forget that you are exceptional. Like just the fact that you're watching this video makes you a tiny minority of the player base. The fact that you watch a fucking hour-long video from a game developer talking about the game, it already makes you actually rather rare. And even just like talking about it in a discussion forum or online makes you a pretty rare person. And so fundamentally, when Adrian answers a question of like, why did he do XYZ? Like it's never going to be satisfying for you. It just isn't, because it fundamentally can't be. The decision that you are so confused by is not a decision that's made for you. It's made for someone else, right? That's why it's so strange. It's just going to be an unsatisfying answer no matter what. It's the same thing for this next question, Aspenelcy asked Adrian, like, how much do you listen to the community or pros with your balance changes?
Community, casuals, pro input when making balance changes. So you kind of already touched on it, but maybe not from like the community side. So can you explain the process? So you've touched on this a bit on time to explain.
Do you take in more information from pro players? Do you consider the community opinion at all? Can you let pro players decide more of the balance changes and let them test it out more before it goes live to make sure they're like perfect and actually address the issues that the game has? And every time Adrian is asked a question like this, it's always like, yeah, I do take into account the community feedback. I do take into account pro information, right? Like if you look at the top tier brawlers in the meta, all of them got nerfed in the recent balance change, or all of them are planning to get nerfed in the next upcoming balance change, right? Like even a brawler like Ruffs, who isn't really like, I don't think anybody considers this brawler broken, but he's getting nerfed just because he's really spammed in pro play. There are balance changes that specifically target like high level gameplay, but there are also balance changes that target kind of the mid ladder, the low ladder gameplay too, because that's where the vast majority of the players are. They like every group kind of gets their voice. And when Adrian decides a balance change, he fundamentally just looks objectively at the data. That's basically what he says. He's like, when a brawler's win rate is really high in some particular area, he tries to adjust that. And there are cases where a brawler is really good for one group of players, but really bad for another group of players. And that gets really difficult. He has to make a compromise. But like, if there is ever a balance change that is sent out, it is because statistically that brawler is too strong in some area. That is basically what is going on, specifically for nerfs. And so now this also then gets into the next, I think, kind of more interesting question. The question of nerfing brawlers' base kit.
A lot of community are wondering why some brawlers are receiving a nerf to their base kit rather than their buffies. So obviously not every brawler's getting this. I'm trying to think of it, the example, was it Bull? I think Bull was the main one. So
No, I get the question for sure.
yeah, that was the #1 question.
No, and it's a great question. And I think fundamentally it boils down to where the problem lies.
And this is kind of a source of contention for a lot of people online. It's a very common sentiment that I see where people find it very annoying when a brawler gets broken buffies, that their base kit gets nerfed instead of the buffies, even though the buffies are the reason why the brawler's broken. And it just seems like this stupid injustice. Like, you're just making a brawler worse for free-to-play players who don't have the buffies, and then all of the pay-to-win players that use the buffies, they just get to keep playing the brawler in like a good state. But then the buffies become like mandatory. It just feels like unfair. But Adrian says that he only nerfs the brawler's base kit when the base kit is doing too well, even without the buffies. He only makes this decision based on the stats. And obviously buffies are going to make a brawler stronger too, right? That's by design. That is the point of a buffy, is that it does make a meaningful difference in your gameplay, because otherwise then there's no point in even having them in the game. But keep in mind too that when a brawler gets buffies, they're not just getting the buffies, but they're also getting gadget reworks and star power reworks. I think a lot of people tie in the buffies with all the changes that are made to the base kit, but the base kit does get changes. Like, this is actually something that literally happens. And when a brawler does well with and without the buffies, but he only nerfs the buffies, then the brawler's win rates without the buffies, right, that are also better than before, those are then unaffected. And so the reason why Adrian nerfs the base kit is because if he nerfs the base kit, then both the brawler's win rates with and without the buffies, then they both get adjusted accordingly. This basically explains this is why he does the change. And I think I see a lot of people talking and complaining a lot about specifically the Colette and Crow nerfs that are proposed to come in late June. I kind of given my thoughts about it before, and when in my balance change video going over it, I honestly didn't have anything negative to say about it. But a lot of people online really found it very annoying, or like very like unfair or bullshit. Like, why you're nerfing this fucking perfect brawler that has been fine for his whole life, and now he's getting his main attack spread increase? Like, that's unfair. To me, it's a little ironic, I will say, that people are banding around to fight for fucking Crow. Oh man, I have literally no sympathy for this brawler. For one, okay, to be clear, before Crow got buffies, he was an S tier brawler. Okay, let's just get the record straight. Before Crow got buffies, he was already in S tier. He gets buffies, and he's made even stronger than before. Okay, so that's kind of where, let's just get the facts straight. And so when we're thinking about, you know, pre-Buffy's Crow, already a top tier brawler, you know, considered like uncounterable, considered broken, yeah, the base kit is gonna get nerfed. Boo-hoo. I guess now you can't first pick the same brawler everywhere on every map and mode and have a good matchup into everything. Wah. I'm being mean. I've seen gameplay of people, I think, who like hack the game or like are on a private server of playing the nerfed Crow, and to my eyes, bro, it doesn't even look that bad. Like, he's actually gonna cover more area than before with his attack. If you actually look at it, I think he's gonna be fine, and he's still gonna be good after the nerf. I bet that's gonna be the case. Unironically, I think that's true, and especially considering how fucking annoying a brawler like Crow is. Like this is the tick of assassins. You're gonna come out to bat for the tick of assassins on a brawler who's been historically like always broken and has always just been really fucking good, like for his entire existence. And like, you know, and then his base kit gets nerfed in a way that doesn't even affect him anywhere except for like damage in the mid-range, and then he's like, people are losing their shit. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really feel anything for this. Colette too is like another case of like, you know, people complain about like, oh, Crow's supercharge rate is getting touched, she's gonna be garbage, she's gonna be unplayable, she's gonna feel like terrible to play because she was so bad before she got buffies, and now they're nerfing her base kit instead of nerfing the buffies enough. Like, this is clearly some bullshit. But like guys, she didn't just get buffies when she got buffies. They also buffed the fuck out of her star powers base kit, right? Like that 75% damage reduction that she has on the mass attack star power, that's a base kit mechanic. The buffies is the ammo steal, which is really good, but like the super making you basically immune to damage is like just a part of what it does now. The push it star power was also buffed compared to the version that she had before the buffies on her, right? Like it now has an additional stun on it than before. That's new and makes her stronger. The gadget rework that hypnotizes a brawler, that still does it even without buffies. The buffies just makes it pierce. But fundamentally, the reason why Adrian is nerfing the supercharge rate is because the supers are just stronger than before. That's kind of undeniably true. Like, I promise you, Colette will not be bad after the nerfs. Like, she's gonna be fine. And people talk about the fact that she's not gonna be able to cycle super with 2 hits and 1 super anymore. Like, that wasn't one of the most broken parts of her mechanic, where she can cycle supers off hitting an enemy with 1 super on a stun mechanic that basically guarantees all 4 projectiles hit on the super. Like, yeah, like that's not broken. That she has a team wipe button on an open map if she just presses hypercharge and supers 3 times auto aim. Like that's balanced. She's literally like first picked on every map and mode in the entire game, all 6 game modes, and she's first picked on all of them. And she has like the highest win rate in the game in like a high elo, and this is balanced. Like guys, these brawlers that are getting nerfed are not victims. These are criminals. These are evil villains. It's very interesting to see the crocodile tears that online over these nerfs. Like this is the most undeserving thing ever. It actually is very confusing to me. Like, I must be in the minority of players that actually finds Colette and Crow difficult to deal with, because I guess clearly a lot of them, maybe the mid ladder players, like find Colette and Crow like really weak, like just okay. Like, is this what's like? Am I missing something? Like, I guess I must be missing something. Maybe I am too out of touch. And even in the online community, I am unable to relate to the common online Brawl Stars player. Because I really just did not see these nerfs as that big of a deal at all. Because I really saw these nerfs as like something that's catered to competitive players. Like, game balance is kind of contradictory by nature, right? There will always be 2 different groups of players that play your game, and because these groups differ in skill level, the meta for both groups of players is going to be drastically different based on like the complexity of a brawler and how strong those brawlers are. You know, every competitive game is going to have their characters that are just never good in a competitive setting. For example, in League of Legends, only 70 champions had a pick and ban presence in like the recent 2026 competitive Road to MSI tournament that they had. And that's 70 out of 172 champions in League of Legends, which is a 41% pick and ban rate out of all the champions in the game. Compare that to the recent Brawl Cup that we had, that I actually went to in person, which had only 18 brawlers that were not picked or banned in the entire tournament. Out of, I think, about 102 playable brawlers, that means that 82% of brawlers had some competitive presence in Brawl Cup. Comparatively, okay, out of 102 brawlers, which, to be honest, is really not that bad. I think a competitive game have over 80% of its characters be playable at the highest level. Like, I actually think it's kind of impressive that a game with such a diverse player base, I guess, has such a wide breadth of brawlers that you can play to some extent successful at the highest level. I think that's cool. And all of the unpicked and unbanned brawlers are in fact a lot of the throwers, because it is an aggression heavy meta. And also some redundant brawlers, like for example El Primo and Jackie and Sam. Like, you don't play these when there are other tanks and assassins that are just better and outclass them. You know, Maisie, right? Gale, these are tank counters that are just completely outclassed. Jesse, you never see Jesse anywhere, or Mr. P, because these are controller brawlers that just don't do anything relative to other controller brawlers that are better. But at the same time, all of these brawlers are also low ladder menaces, right? There's a reason why they haven't really been getting too many buffs, and it's because they're still really good in trophies. And like, I still see people go Mr. P and Naka and Bani when I play trophies, all right, with my friends. I still see people play Dynamite everywhere. I still see people play El Primo in Brawl Ball and pick Jesse on Hot Zone and Gem Grab and shit. Like, I still see people play these brawlers, even if it's not in ranked. Like, bad players don't give a fuck about the meta, but they make up most of the player base. I think the balance is fine. I think it's good. I think the game is in a good state right now, actually. At least for me, when I play ranked, I have a good time. It's gotten a little stale, and I'm excited for things to be like switched up a lot, I think, in the upcoming balance change, which I think is the plan. I'm looking forward to that. But like, fundamentally, in terms of my experience as a competitive player, in trophies, like, everything is viable. In ranked, there's a lot of stuff that is viable, and most things have some kind of useful utility in any given map and mode, depending on how the draft goes. So yeah, I feel like balance is pretty good. I don't know. And I don't even really see too many pros complaining about the balance right now either. Besides, you know, the obvious, you know, culprits, but they just kind of get banned. And so, yeah. And I'm not making this video to try to like glaze Adrian or anything, by the way. Like, genuinely, I could spend this whole video shitting on Adrian too. Like, obviously the Grom change doesn't appeal to me. I don't care for the Grom change at all. You know, there are some balance changes that I disagree with. Like, I think buffing Spike's main attack damage is scary. I don't like that. And I don't like the fertilize change that he did. I don't like some mechanics like Griff Coin Shower. Like, these are just dumb mechanics that don't do anything. Like he like gave like tiny little baby buffs to Buzz, which are like basically meaningless. I think a lot of the throwers getting buffed aren't going to really change them that much. And obviously on release Damien was like a complete abomination. Like he really missed the mark with that. But I also, to be honest, just don't really feel that strongly about Adrian at all. To be honest, like I don't have a strong love of the guy. I don't have a strong hate for the guy either. I see a lot of people, you know, ragging on Adrian and making him the butt of the joke. I think I've made jokes at his expense too. It's funny, but I can't say that I like, you know, when I hear these points from Adrian in the podcast, that I like have a strong visceral reaction to it, or that if I see a balance change on a list of changes that are mostly good, that like if there's like one or two that I disagree with, I don't just like write off the whole list as like, oh, these are just like dog shit changes. Adrian sucks and needs to redo the whole thing. Like I just don't like, I don't feel this strongly about a mobile game, even though I should feel the strongest. I fucking make videos about this shit. like, you know, I don't know. It really just does not bother me that much. I guess the one thing that really does kind of annoy me are the bugs. In this Q&A, Spenelcy does ask Adrian about like all of the bugs in these recent updates too. It's very unprofessional. And it just comes across as really dumb that there are so many bugs seemingly that are just unchecked. Like, where's the QA for Brawl Stars? You know, like, what? Like, forget the SpenLC Q&A. Where's the QA for Brawl Stars? Where's the quality assurance? You know, like, do these devs even test their own game?
Again, it doesn't really fall on you, but again, there's just a lot of from my community what they were asking. So recently we saw a lot more bugs than usual. Are you able to explain the process to like playtesting, the causes of like the recent resurgence of bugs? Again, like I've seen like Frank on Twitter post a bit about it already, saying they're going to increase playtesting 100%, whatever. But just to ease people's minds, like, have you got any thoughts about the bugs?
And Adrian actually gives like a very interesting answer here to this question. And so like basically the dev team actually know about most of the bugs that go live in the game. Like they actually know about them before they could launch. The reason why they're left in there is because they spent most of the time fixing 90% of the other bugs that didn't show up in the final update. It's just you don't see those bugs, and so it just seems like they're just leaving a bunch of bugs in the game when they're actually fixed like vast majority of the bugs. It's just the small minority of them slip through. And so even though if there's a lot of bugs, apparently there's even more that they're fixing in the behind the scenes. But then, you know, they just don't have all the time to fix all of them before they launch, and they have to update the game by certain deadlines. So they just ship it and then try to fix the most important stuff first, which is a really interesting question. So it's not that they don't realize how buggy the game is, or that they don't test the game at all, but it's just that they don't have enough manpower fixing the bugs right now. Which like okay, why don't you hire more people? And apparently they are. I don't think Adrian actually talks about this specifically in the interview, but I will say just they are hiring more people specifically just to fix bugs. So that is just something to know. But yeah, hopefully in the future updates are less buggy. It's a pretty unsatisfying interview, I think, for a lot of people. I think a lot of people, when you look online at the reaction, expected Adrian to like confess some deep secret that like, yeah, I never play Brawl Stars and I hate the player base. And when I nerf a brawler, it's because I personally don't like it. That's why. And that's what they expected Adrian to say. Like they genuinely expected him to say like, I'm sorry, I'm incompetent. I'm an incompetent loser. Like, you guys are all right. But they didn't get that. And so a lot of people were just like, kind of like, oh man, this interview sucked. And Adrian didn't answer the questions properly. It was like, okay, like, yeah, he plays the game. Yeah, he knows about the bugs. Yeah, he wants to fix it. Yeah, he's balancing the game. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like a lot of like uninteresting kind of whatever answers. Sometimes the truth is just boring. It is what it is. Did you find this video interesting? I don't know. Maybe this is also kind of a boring video. I'm sorry. People ask me about it, so I figured I might as well answer them. Yeah, that's gonna be it for me for this video. These are my thoughts on the Adrian interview. Sorry that a lot of this must be kind of repetitive. I've like made these same points in previous videos. Not any new ground that we're really treading here, but trust me, in like half a month to a year from now, these same questions are going to be asked to a dev, and the same answers are going to be given, and the same outrage or you know, like frustration is going to be voiced when it's for every balance change. Like it's just this never-ending cycle. I could say the same things 10 times and it'll reach new ears all 10 times. It's just kind of how it goes, I guess, with online communities. A lot of other interesting questions in this interview, I think, like talking about bots and like frustration with bot games. You know, why do they make hyper buffies give a duration increase on the hypercharge, like things like that. And some other like more personal questions, like what is your favorite brawler you've ever designed or whatever, whatnot. If you want to watch those questions and answers, you can check out Spenelcy's interview. I don't want to steal his video or anything, but you know, just giving my take. That's all. Big shots to Spenelcy for doing this interview at all. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all later for a ranked video. And I'll show you guys my naked body in a hot spring. A naked hot spring. Oh my god, it's gonna be so scandalous and nude. What? It's gonna be in a video too? How will I keep my creator code? Wow. Peace.